Behind the Shades.
I am Cassandra Rosa. I am a certified intuitive life and business coach, and my mission is really about helping female entrepreneurs to create fulfilling lives and businesses with clarity and confidence. I'm also an award-winning author. I have a book. It's called Now What? Create the Clarity to Achieve Your Dreams, and a podcast host as well of the Clarity Conversations podcast. So for me, and all that I do and my purpose, it's really helping people step into the fullest, most confident version of themselves and creating that fulfilling life and business that you daydream about.
Perfect. So, right from the beginning, creating confidence and the clarity of it. Explain that to us.
Mm-hmm. So, for a lot of people, we have those big daydreams, right? We're sitting there, we're thinking of the lifestyle we want to have. Maybe it's doing a lot of travel, maybe it's doing something impactful to help people. And sometimes the things that are holding us back from creating that is clarity of what that is and the path to get there. Right? We might have an idea of what the dream is, but knowing what steps can take is huge. And having that confidence for all my clients that I've ever worked with, that's been the biggest thing standing in their way is the fears, is getting caught up in other people's projections of their fears onto them. So those are like the two pieces that I help people with and that I've embodied in my life that allowed me to get to where I am today.
And was this something that maybe you struggled with a little bit, and that's why you're teaching others, or is there a different source of this inspiration for you?
Yeah, so definitely. Long story short, yes, I wrote about a lot of my book of wanting to make a difference in the world from a young age and not knowing what that meant, and going to university for psychology and halfway through my degree getting this like big gut instinct that there was something more for me, but having no idea what that was except that it was going to help people. And as my journey persisted and I did things like volunteering in Africa and starting to get these little nudges from the universe, if you will, about mentorship, things started to uncover and become clear. And then once I started to understand what I wanted, then it was like the fears that were stopping me. So as I learned the different modalities in my journey about like neurolinguistic programming and meditation and intuitive work and business things, I started to know how to repattern myself and really embody that confidence. So those two pieces coming together is what fully allowed me to create that life that I started to become clear about. So,
When you were going through that journey, because you mentioned two parts
mhm,
coming together, and I know that you help people on the business side and you're
mhm.
helping people find themselves because sometimes we don't feel confident every day. We definitely don't feel confident every week. So when you're doing this, do you find a difference on the personal side and the business side when you're helping people?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's intertwined, especially for a lot of the people I work with are service-based entrepreneurs. So coaches or health professionals and stuff like that. It's once you embody it for yourself, then you can create that ripple effect through business as kind of your vehicle to help others. So they're very connected and intertwined.
And I know when we initially met, you mentioned embodying confidence.
Mhm.
So if I was someone that was feeling not as confident for whatever the reasons, how
Mhm.
would you help me, Cassandra, embody confidence so I can continue forward being the new me?
Right. So I always kind of go back to when you're really young, right? When you're learning how to walk, no matter how many times you fall, you get up and you persist. We all are born confident. And as life progresses, we start to learn things that take us away from that. So maybe in our upbringing from our parents, we were told no, no, no so many times. And that kind of had us take a step back. In the school system, maybe there was like a traumatic experience that happened. So that's taking us away from that. So embodying it, it's really important to look at your thoughts and the patterns that progress and see, okay, what am I telling myself that's taking me away from that, and starting to acknowledge it that way. And it's also connecting with, I call it my fulfilled femme or fella in my business, that true, most confident version, most clear. In the spiritual world, people say like your higher self, your truest self, really connecting with that version of you, which is there all along, is inside of us, and choosing to embody that and choosing to clear the resistance along the way. So it's a combination of the clearing and the connecting.
And when you're doing that, the clearing and the connecting, and you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned childhood, and I like that you mentioned that, because as many of us, I know for me, there are certain things from my childhood that in my teenage years, I wasn't that confident about. Sometimes we didn't share it, right? I mean, we kept
Mm-hmm.
it. It's like the skeletons in your closet.
Right.
But when I became an adult, I own that. I was able to resolve it. But one way I did do that is I redesigned who I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
That I wasn't terrain from 10 years ago. I'm terrain now, and the terrain now, I want to design that to be the terrain of the future. So when you're helping these people, your clients, and all these wonderful people who are coming to you for help,
Mm-hmm.
are you pulling the new them from within? Or is it like how my journey was, where it's you helping them redesign their new selves?
Mm-hmm. I think it's almost connecting inward to the true them versus the untrue them. I think there's lots of untruths that we run on sometimes by autopilot. So it's uncovering them and removing them. It's like removing the layers of like the onion to get to like the core of who we are, because the values are kind of inside of us. Your purpose, a lot of people say it's outward. It's in all along. There's a lot of clues that were left throughout our journey in our lives, So I appreciate your perspective about it. And with my experience, I realized it was kind of like the unlearning and the connecting to who you are at like a soul level without getting too spiritual. Yeah.
No, that makes total sense, because I think that is probably more the norm, where they're
Mhm.
unlearning behaviors that maybe put them in a situation not to be confident.
Mhm.
And do you find that to be a difficult process for some people?
For some people, it can, because we can hold on to that. That's like the safety blanket. Like a lot of people fear success, or they fear being financially free. They have those things, and it's easier for some people, since that's been airplane mode for so long, to hold on to that and be in that state of being than letting go of that. There's this image I saw on Instagram. It must have been about 5, 6 years ago, and it's like this image of you're holding onto the rope, and your hand is bleeding because you're holding it so tight, and it feels so much better to release and takes less energy than holding onto the rope tightly. But we're being told and conditioned from everything that we hear, from the TV shows that we watch, from the music we listen to hold on to the negativity, and then instead of releasing it. So I think for a lot of people, we're conditioned to do that instead of being in flow and being easeful. And another example of how to do it, kind of connect to the rope, is if everyone makes a fist for a second while you're listening to this, while you're watching this, and what kind of sensations, what type of energy output does it take to make a fist? What would you say, Train? How would you describe it?
Um, it's a good question. I'll describe it
Let's
as
do it. Yeah.
like when you hold it, your the emotions that you're feeling is like you're pulling from somewhere where it's like it could be like a source of anger, it could be a source of power, right? It's
Mhm.
not I'm happy. You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Right.
not I'm excited. It's a little bit different. And when you put it in that perspective, it's and we're gonna age ourselves with this. It's like when someone's upset, I'm gonna get you, right?
Right.
It's not I'm gonna get you. So it's a little
Yeah,
bit, it's a little bit different. So I see
right.
your point. Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. And if you have long nails, it could hurt your nails being in your palms. It takes a lot of tension in your wrist, right? A lot of energy versus if you open it, it's a completely different experience. It's just so easy, no energy, and it feels good, right? So even those moments that we're not feeling confident or we're feeling anxious, I always go back to my clients, okay, make the fist and release your hand, as a physical reminder of how more easeful it can be. Just be open, to be confident, to be clear, to take action towards your goals instead of hiding with the blanket over your head and being caught up in all the patterns. Yeah.
And it's interesting because when you embrace someone, when you welcome someone into your home, you don't welcome them with a closed fist. It's open hand. Hi, how are you doing, Cassandra? Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
When you wave to someone and you want to express that a certain level of familiarity or friendship, you wave an open hand.
Right.
Um, so you're absolutely right. And the example you gave with the blanket, anytime you see a child with their blanket over their head, that's their protection. That's their safe space. I
Right.
remember as a kid, you're building these little forts and these bases. What
Yeah.
do? You put the blanket over your head. When there's a scary movie, even as an adult, you hide under that. So it's
Right.
interesting to see how we've pulled from different sources and different areas of our childhood, as you mentioned, that could still impact in ways that we don't even know. And when you're working, Cassandra, with your clients, and you bring this to their attention, is it an epiphany like, aha, it makes sense now? Is that how you
Mhm.
reach it with some of the people you help with?
Yeah, if you look at your thoughts, then you go into the feelings, you go into the patterns, it starts to realize, oh, and then once you kind of see the origin of where that file was created in their mind. Another kind of analogy is like your mind is like a filing cabinet. And when you're born, it's pretty empty. And then as things happen in life that are really emotional, it's like those beige, folders that you have. And then any instances that happen that are connected to that, right? Because we process so many thoughts, like 80,000 thoughts a day. Our mind doesn't have time to file everything into a gajillion folders. They put them all into the big beliefs that we have in our mind, right? So it's like you have an emotional thing in your childhood. You got bullied when you were a kid and you're feeling self-conscious, right? There's the file folder. And then through life in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, the files, the papers are still going in the file. So once you kind of understand on a client level about what those big file folders are and you use different techniques to be able to move them, I feel like that's when the epiphany happens. You're like, oh my gosh, like everything makes sense now, mind blown. Yeah.
And on that note, so, Cassandra, take us through some of the techniques that you use to help
Mhm.
people on a day-to-day level with their confidence.
Hmm. This is a good one. Journaling, I think, is really key. Belief clearing exercises. So, like looking at a goal and writing down what are the thoughts that I'm thinking or the emotions that I'm feeling that are standing in the way of me achieving it. Affirmations are good, but I think affirmations are good as a support. I don't think you can become confident just by saying, I am confident every day, right? So it's kind of like the cherry on top of the sundae. Meditation, I think, is really great too, because emotions and thoughts, they're just energy in motion, everyone says. So having meditation to kind of clear your mind and move through the emotional side of it is a great support to confidence. And I think it's simple action. When you're having a goal, writing down a list of all the things that you would hypothesize you have to do and just circling one and starting one every day, I think is also a really powerful tool.
I'll agree because when I like to, for example, like when I do these podcast episodes, right, I feel so, as you can tell, I'm so passionate. I feel energetic about it. And then I would do the affirmation and I'll take from the interview and what the person has told me. I'll
Mhm.
reflect and I'll be like, yeah, I like the way that Cassandra said that because she mentioned to do this, and it really helped me. I find that the mental part of it is a complement to the physical part of it, meaning that you still need to get out there and do something. And then
Yeah.
when you do that something, that's where you reflect. Is that the same type of action that you would take?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I like to do things really holistically. That's why I do a lot of energy work in combination with the meditation and stuff like that, looking at the big picture on how on all levels you can have like the practical action and then like the energetics behind it and the mental and the kind of receiving when you're manifesting type of thing. So, yeah, I agree.
So going forward now, you want to take what you're doing into the future,
Mhm.
right? And one thing that I love to ask anyone that I interview is if someone came to you
Mhm.
impacted by what you've taught them and they're living their best life, would you want to meet that person? If so, and why?
I don't know if it's because I'm very intuitive, but I get like different premonitions. I can almost like see the best in people. It's a blessing and a curse, seeing the best in people, seeing the potentiality of someone. And so I guess I'm already kind of doing that. And yes, I think it's cool because when you're seeing people as their best self, their most confident self, their what I say, the fulfilled femme and fella. It helps you remind them of their light and their vastness in the coaching experience. And I have an example of it. So funny enough, I had a call earlier today with one of my clients. I worked with her for a couple years, and it got to the point where she didn't need me anymore. She was like, I love this program, but I think I have all the tools. I'm good. And I talked with her today, and we were talking about her transformation, how she started out no clarity, no confidence, recent university grad, living in her grandparents' basement, not a lot of money. And it was crazy today. Now she has a 2-bedroom condo. She has a thriving career. And now she has like a side, something that she does on the side with graphic design. And she's saying how simple, practical tools mixed with the energetics just allowed her life to transform. And I think it was because from the moment I met her, I saw how powerful she was. So, yeah.
I always tell people that you need two people to believe in you, yourself and one other person.
Yes.
And for that, well, I don't know if she's young, but for that young lady,
Yeah.
you believed in her. And how does that make you feel knowing that you met someone who is here and as they're exiting their relationship with you,
Mhm.
the coach and the coachee relationship,
Yeah.
they're somewhere else, successful 2-bedroom condo. How does that feel for you?
I think it's how do you say it gets me so excited. It just gets me so excited that there's people out there that can do the work and can transform in rapid speed like that. And it's just a confirmation that, for me, that I'm on the right path. And that is my purpose. I want every client to be like that, to have such a radical transformation that they don't need to work with me anymore, and I could just go from coach to cheerleader for all their successes. So yeah.
You hear that, everyone? She's going from coach to cheerleader. So anyone who needs help
Everyone.
from the lady here, please.
Yeah.
She's making wonders. She's changing the world. And I think that's what it's all about. I've talked to people like you. I've talked to so many other people. I got into coaching myself,
Mhm,
and the people I've helped, even though it's been a short period of time,
mhm.
they come to you hearts open.
Right.
Sometimes they're heartbroken.
Mhm,
And your sole purpose, a lot of times, is to listen, repair, listen, repair. And
mhm.
then when they leave you, you feel, and I don't have children, I don't know if you do, but I'm comparing it. It's like your children growing up and saying, Mom
Right.
and Dad, I made it, right?
Yeah. It's like from baby to going to kindergarten. You're like, oh my gosh, can you believe
Yeah.
it? He's all grown up now.
No, I've got my wings, I can fly. By wings, I don't mean death, everyone who's listening, right? I mean, they've expanded. It's a caterpillar into the butterfly. It's the
Right.
baby bird into the full blown, beautiful feathers, beautiful wings. And that's
Yes.
what we want. Yes, it's going to take some people a couple of years, maybe a little bit longer. But for someone like you, you're there every step of the way and you're helping them design that path. What is it? What's something, Cassandra, going forward that you want for yourself now?
Hmm. I think it's just turning up the dial on everything that I've done. It's showing up bigger and brighter and, achieving more and more things on my vision board and on my bucket list and inspiring other people doing the same. So, yeah.
Everyone, get a vision board. Before I
Hmm.
had one, it was in my mind. I had this mental vision board, right? But then when you
Hmm.
put things behind you and you look at it, you're like, I did this last year.
Yeah.
I'm working toward this year. Your
Yeah.
vision board that's behind you, for those who are going to watch this, how beautiful is it to look at that vision board and know what you've accomplished on it?
Right. Oh, it's the best feeling. The best feeling when you have to make new ones because you're looking at it, you're like, check, check, check. Oh no, I got to update this. It's not even the end of the year yet. So yeah, I love them. I think they're such a powerful tool. That was actually my first business that I started like when I was like 20 years old, going to after school programs and schools and teaching kids how to do it. And it's just like seeing that wonder, of that unstoppability. Just makes me want to take some of that energy every time I put on mine.